So, the Christian Parapsychologist Journal is 50 years old this year, and as such, we're holding an online anniversary conference for anyone interested in learning more about the interface between Christianity, parapsychology, and the paranormal on June the 28th, 2025. And one of our guest speakers is Chris Romer, who's going to be speaking on the discernment of spirits, the problem with parapsychology. So, first for our viewers, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi there, I'm Chris Romer. I've been involved with parapsychology since the 1980s when I had an unusual experience. I saw an apparition at Thetford Priory in Norfolk. It was broad daylight, there were five of us who witnessed it,
Hmm.
and being a young know-it-all filled with my own self-importance, I decided I was going to understand it. So I joined the Society for Psychical Research and I joined a number of parapsychological organisations, and I changed my university plans, and I spent the next 16 years in higher education as a university lecturer or as a research student. And during that time, I dedicated myself to this problem of what is a ghost. And I learned everything that parapsychology has to tell us about hauntings and apparitions. And this talk is about why I think that was a mistake, and there were much better ways I could have spent my time, which would be more productive and more useful, and why I think the Church Fellowship on Psychical and Spiritual Studies is crucial to actually making any progress.
Oh, thank you very much for that intro. So, do you have any particular research interests or specialisms that you can tell us about?
Yeah, since the very beginning, I've been very interested in apparitions. Nearly all of my colleagues were interested in poltergeists and physical phenomena, and because of that, a lot of my work in the 90s was in those areas.
Hmm.
But I've spent a lot of time investigating first-hand cases, and I would like to say that my particular interest is on the pastoral side, on the helping people to deal with, to think about, to come to terms with odd experiences and read them or interpret them in a positive light where possible.
Fantastic. That's what we need. That's what we need. So, as you're one of the speakers at the conference, can you give us a brief overview of what you're actually going to be talking about in a bit more detail and how it's going to help attendees better understand these often misunderstood areas of Christian teaching?
Sure. I think one of the great tragedies that's befallen the world in the 20th century, since the beginning of the early 20th century, is the rise of a scientific mindset that has no space for the spiritual or the supernatural. We've
Hmm.
lost the supernatural worldview. We've lost it in sciences. We've lost it in our society. We've lost it in our teaching and our morality. We've even lost it from the Bible. We no
Hmm.
longer read the Bible as a supernatural record of God and the supernatural realm. And instead, parapsychology in particular, which replaced psychical research in the 1920s onwards, is very much a reductionist science that tries to explain everything in terms of the laws, the physical reductive laws of science. But if we believe in a God who's in charge of history and who's in charge of the world, then there has to be scope for the miraculous. And there are problems there, which mean logically we are perhaps throwing out the baby with the bathwater. You cannot do, in my opinion, having spent 40 years of my life on it, parapsychology without considering the personhood's both human and supernatural, and the supernatural realm as something very real and beyond the basic facts of dice rolling or card guessing experiments. And that's what I'm going to be talking about, how parapsychology has hijacked what were once spiritual issues for the church, and where the CFPSS has always been pushing the envelope in looking at these issues and bringing them to the attention of the church and holding
Hmm.
up a mirror, no matter how much the church may hate them for it. And how modern science has tried to say none of this is relevant, and how many of us have kowtowed to that for far too long. So that's what my talk's about, reclaiming the spiritual, the supernatural, and the fact that they are actually probably greater authorities on ghosts and the supernatural world than I will ever be.
That's fascinating. So, really looking forward to seeing that. You're welcome to all come along and join in with this online conference. And here's CJ and our other excellent speakers. And we will hopefully see you on June the 28th. Take care and God bless.